Hello everyone, welcome to Beyond the Book English Literature. In today's video, we will be analyzing and interpreting another poem of Professor Dr. R.N. Tiwari titled Cultural Kills. This poem is a powerful and thought provoking exploration of the ways in which cultural norms and expectations can be oppressive and suffocating. Through its vivid imagery, rich symbolism, and emotional depth, this poem conveys the sense of frustration, anger, and desperation that can result from being trapped in a system that values conformity over individuality. The poem's themes of identity, culture, and resistance are deeply resonant, and its use of metaphor and imagery adds depth and complexity to its exploration of these themes. The speaker's voice is raw and unapologetic, conveying a sense of urgency and concern that is both moving and compelling. So let's begin by starting with the stanzas of this poem. Bursting balloon throws me out of milky ocean to the grave of crimes, being upside down and down upside, with fisted hands confirming rights. On the earth of horizon free, but myself find as calf in tie, in cauldron pushed of boiling oil, by butcher hands to itself flay, for showing feet of country's primes, that gush the dream of inns free. Where are gone provisional milks, by nature's law before my birth, or mother's womb decreed to have a zygote from the cuckoo's eggs of 9 leaves with self skills? Oh, why on Hingwa thorn am I, lying in a dream of culture death? Tolerate falcons, falls, and flies, with suck of blood, not breath. From womb to tomb its cultural kills. Why kneel down, we vain, they why, as hen-pecked husbands before their knife, being quite unknown to fact and fiction, or self-suicide by fear of be beaten, more dangerous than to beat, and lions free from historical mine, with tigering tail towards lamb slouch, and swans for falls or fears fall in ashes, in monkey's coat for justice crouch, that seizes the loaves of cat's beat. Why do bear the squirrel's lore of growing fruits from bottom to top? Or male cats and spaniels piss in flaming flame of cottage seat, with tight straining feet, or Surka's thirst for Duncan's blood, that Macbeth prior sucked in home, or cut off fingers by red beak parrot, sitting on seat in ironed cage, in its mouth with ram lead. No, no more will be a bitch to be the watcher of my leather bags, nor poisonous serpent to be unchecked, to seize the den of whitest hair, the dream of seed solution, where branches need a juicy root, and root the airy leaves in the pine for freed spirit with balanced might of minus plus to bring a soul's evolution. Cultural Kills is a powerful and tense poem that critiques the oppressive and destructive nature of cultural norms, social traditions, and historical legacies. The title itself is a stark statement suggesting that culture, far from being a source of life and identity, can be a force that stifles, corrupts, and ultimately kills the individual spirit. The poem's speaker is in a state of profound alienation, rejecting the very systems and histories he is born into. Some key themes it suggests. The very first theme is alienation and imprisonment. The speaker feels alienated from birth. The opening lines, busting balloon throws me out of milky ocean to the grave of crimes, paint a brutal and picture of birth as a violent expulsion into a flawed and corrupted world. This is not a joyful entry, but an immediate confrontation with the grave of crimes. The speaker is upside down and finds himself in cauldron pushed of boiling oil of visceral image of torment. He is a collar tie bound by cultural and social ties that are not liberating but imprisoning. The sense of being in an iron cage is a recurring motive symbolizing the entrapment of the self by rigid cultural expectations. The second theme is critique of cultural and historical norms. The poem is a direct assault on the inherited traditions and values that define a culture. The speaker questions the very laws of nature and the purpose of his birth. Where are gone provisional milks? By nature's law before my birth? And why on Hingwa thorn am I? Lying in a dream of cultural death. The Hingwa thorn, defined in the notes as a thorny grass, is a metaphor for the painful and restrictive environment of his culture. The speaker refuses to tolerate falcons' falls and flies, suggesting a rejection of the predatory and hierarchical nature of his society. The lines, why kneel down we when they vie as hen pecked husbands before their knife, is a direct critique of submission to oppressive traditions, particularly those that subjugate men and create a false sense of duty. The third key point is the perversion of justice and power. The poem suggests that justice and power, as exercised by cultural institutions, are corrupt and self serving. The reference to Monkey's quote for justice crouched is a cynical portrayal of a legal or social system that is arbitrary and unjust. The allusions to figures like Macbeth and Ram are twisted to show how even powerful myths and historical figures are perverted. Macbeth, prior sucked in home, is a recontextualization of a historical and literary figure, possibly suggesting that the seeds of violence and ambition are sown in the domestic sphere. The note about Ram being a word that a parrot cones and repeats is a powerful critique of how spiritual or historical names are reduced to empty, mindless repetitions stripped for their original meaning. The fourth theme is the quest for a freed spirit. Despite the overwhelming sense of cultural oppression, the poem holds out a slim hope for liberation. The speaker declares, "No, no more, I bear a bitch," a radical rejection of his subservient role. He seeks to seize the tin of whitest hair and envisions a dream of seeds evolution. The speaker desires a state where branches need a juicy root and root the airy leaves. A perfect organic harmony that is the antithesis of the cauldron of his current existence. The goal is a freed spirit and soul's evolution, a state of being that can only be achieved by shedding the restrictive and killing cultural baggage. This is a quest for authentic selfhood beyond the dictates of tradition. What literally devices it has? It must also be discussed. The very first device is visceral imagery. The poem is filled with strong, often violent imagery like bursting balloon, grave of crimes, boiling oil, and butcher hands. This raw imagery serves to underscore the brutal reality of the speaker's experience. Second is allusion. The poem uses allusions to various cultural and literary figures like Macbeth, Ram, Surkahingwa to create a dense layered critique. The provided notes are essential to understanding these allusions and their cynical reframing. The next is rhetorical questions. The frequent use of rhetorical questions like where are gone, why kneel down, why to bear, creates a tone of profound questioning and skepticism, inviting the reader to join in the speaker's interrogation of cultural norms. So, in conclusion, this poem, Cultural Kills, is a searing indictment of the ways in which tradition, history, and social norms can stifle individual freedom and lead to a kind of spiritual death. The poem's speaker is a rebel, alienated from his roots and desperately seeking a path to authentic selfhood and soul's evolution beyond the confines of his cultural cage. So, this was the full interpretation and analysis of this poem. What do you think about this poem? Let me know in the comments.